Hey Marcel,
Hey Nathan.
welcome to the podcast. That's the least formal introduction ever.
Hey, hey Lane, you there too?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Welcome back to the Milestone Strength Show. Today we've got one of our closest friends in the world, Mr. Marcel Floruss, in the house. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, boys. It's a pleasure to be talking to you generally, but even more so for the podcast.
Yeah, it's been few and far between. In all honesty, that we did try and do this last week, but the internet got in the way.
It's my internet, to be fair. It feels like I'm living in 1999. Like it's a dial-up system. It's not great.
Yeah, in LA, not having internet connection sort of blows my mind.
I'm trying to get like the good one too, and it literally just says, "This is not available in your area yet." Like, who
America.
do I need to call? All I want is like a few hundred megs up. Anyway, getting carried away.
You'll lose me straight away. So you are in New York right now, which helps, makes it a bit easier to talk. New York was the home base. You're now living in LA. What's it
Yeah.
like back? Do you miss it?
Yes and no. I mean, I think 2020 is like a weird year too, where if everything was normal, I think I'd miss New York significantly more. But with it having been the way it's been, it's like, yeah, I know it's there, but LA is kind of nice. Sunshine, being outside, especially when you can't like be in solitude with like outside in the nature hiking. That's just great. So I
Same
miss the people, but all the people are leaving too.
2020 in general, like all the travel plans we have, but I also don't really want to be anywhere else in the current climate. I'm like, look, yeah, it sucks we can't travel, but also I don't know if I want to
Yeah.
right now.
It's a weird balance of the two things of like, I want to, and do I want to?
Questioning everything.
I mean, I'll be traveling next week, which is interesting. It's all for family reasons, but Brazil and then later on Germany. So that will be interesting, especially now that everything's like going up again.
And Mexico again, right?
Well, Mexico will be to quarantine. That's just because Hilda can't go. My girlfriend Hilda, for those of you that don't know who Hilda is, that I randomly mentioned, she can't go back to the States straight from Germany.
Why is that?
There's a list.
I don't understand the way that your quarantine system works because in Australia,
Oh, it makes no
you come back
sense.
here and you stay in a hotel for 2 weeks.
Right. No, I have a green card, and citizens and green card holders can just come straight back. Anybody else with any immigration status whatsoever has to go to a country that isn't on the list of like bad countries. That includes Brazil and Germany.
Yeah.
Kind of random. Mexico is on the good list. So you can go to Mexico. You can also go somewhere else, but you have to quarantine outside the country if you don't have that immigration status, which makes no sense.
Okay. And does she have to quarantine in Mexico, like inside, isolated, or just has to be in Mexico for 2 weeks?
I believe she just has to have been in a good country for 2 weeks.
What a confusing old
Well, at this point, she's had it. She's just over it. She'll have the antibodies. I'm like, it's not even about actually worrying about her to get reinfected.
Yeah. Still, we're just trying to wrap our heads around the quarantine that's not actually quarantined.
Been trying to wrap my head around this for eight months now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Sick.
Well, let's move on to a positive topic because we'll get onto that stuff
Hey.
later on. Do you want to tell? I will tell people about you because I love you and I know you, and I'll tell people how we know each other because that's how you were one of my very first like bloggy, Instagrammy, social media friends.
Yeah.
Early days of social media, we linked up, and you were already doing the men's fashion thing and doing it very, very well, very successfully. You're now one of the top dogs. Talk to us about your journey.
Like 0 to 100.
Yeah.
0 to 100.
Oh,
Let's go.
sick.
Strap in, baby.
Well, I was born on a summery night.
Oh, we went.
No, I was born and raised in Germany. Didn't really fit in, and noticed that fashion was to me always like a thing of like self-expression, and I just felt like I couldn't really do that in Germany because people are very much like trying to keep everybody on the same level. So I moved to New York, studied fashion marketing, and then slipped into what's now a career, the whole influencer thing, as you may have heard of, Nathan.
What is it?
Influencer thing? Which I
Influenza.
hate that
You
word.
got
I hate
quarantined
it
from
so
that.
much. Huh?
Influenza. You got a quarantine from that.
Yeah, 2 weeks in Mexico, not in Brazil. Um, yeah, I started blogging when I was in school still because I felt like I wanted to share with people my story, which was like I was very insecure as a teenager, started dressing better. People started treating me differently. My self-confidence grew from like the outside in, which I know 10 years older now, 15 years older than back then, I realized the true way to self-confidence comes from within, but it helped build that like base for it. And I wanted to give that to other people that felt the same way, that wanted to express themselves sartorially, but didn't really know how. Yeah. And I felt that not only had I gone through that process, but also I'm now studying at a fashion university. So I had some info to share with people like that I felt like was backed by social sciences, if we want to like
degree. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from then on, it just like, it snowballed, all of it. I mean, I was putting a lot of work in for the first 2.5 years. I was just posting a blog post every single day back when we were still called bloggers, which was much preferred to the misunderstandable influencer term that we're now going by. Nathan and I, we followed each other when we had about like 15, 18K each on Instagram. Liked each other's style, was gassing each other up on Instagram and comments and stuff. And the guy comes
DM. There was no DMs back in the day.
Oh yeah, right. We were literally just comments. That's right. We literally did not talk until we talked, and he told me he was gonna come to New York, and I was like, "Where you staying?" And he's like, "I don't know." I was like, "How about my couch?" So arrived in the middle of the night, sick as a dog.
Yeah. Almost the sickest I've ever been on your couch.
Yeah.
Dying.
Yeah. Best friend since then.
Yeah. I like this guy. He has a good
like, that's a sick dude.
Yeah, well done.
We can't get any worse, right? Like you just met him at his absolute worst. So, you know, it's only
it didn't improve much from there.
No, he still hasn't really gotten better.
He's still the absolute worst.
I love doing this with you guys. We're all friends, everything's good.
No, we're the type of friends that build each other up for sure.
Yeah, we are. I think that's a huge thing here, that, as you said before, about the self-confidence thing. And I don't know if I've ever really said this to you, but you offered me so many opportunities in the world of influencing, blogging, social media, wherever it was, because you had so many amazing connections. You had an agency in New York who then you helped me be signed with, and opened so many doorways to me that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have if I had have stayed in Australia, because the Australian scene is so different. And I was very much the same as you. I was just doing my thing. So thank you. You opened doors to me that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have. Cool. Like, it's so good to have a best friend that I can hang out and have those experiences with, but then you also, like, you very much brought me in and gave me opportunities off your own back. So you're a good dude. Thank you for that.
Thank you for saying that. Any fucking time. Do we curse on this? We curse on this.
We do now.
Yeah. Any freaking time, if you want to cut that out. No, but I love that about the community generally, because like I would lie if I said like I did it all myself. Modi was the one who opened a lot of doors for me, and I know that you've shared a lot with your people. Like it's much different than I think with women, and also like, I don't know, with our group of friends, it really feels like technically we're all competitors, right? We're all going for the same thing, yet no one stops to say like, oh, I don't like you, I want to put you down. Like, everybody's lifting each other up, because at the end of the day, what I think all of us do well is staying true to ourselves. Yeah. And that authenticity in influencing, I hate that I just used it like that.
That's fine.
The authenticity in what we do is, I think, what still differentiates us from a lot of the people that are coming onto the scene now, that are doing it because they see the money, because they see the travel, because they see the perks, the free stuff, and they just want to jump the wagon, like onto the wagon, not jump off the wagon. For the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like a very different experience for me coming from Australia to start with, where it was very dog eat dog, very like tall poppy, talk about yourself and bring other people down, which I hated. I hated going to like Sydney Fashion Week and stuff, because it was just a waste of time. It was everyone just show ponying and being, look at me, look at how great I am, rather than, hey, let's all have fun together and experience this. And that was a really cool experience to have, coming over and seeing your side of the world. So, and then we got to travel the world doing it. We got to go to things in, can you hear that?
I can.
We have the most annoying coffee truck that turns up and nobody buys anything ever.
And it just drives through every morning beeping
and so obnoxiously. It's so good.
Awesome.
Yeah. 3 people in the van. They stop, they sit.
There's 3 of them. That's the best part.
Don't sell a coffee, I'd say 75% of the time, but refuse to not be obnoxious with their beeping. So.
I mean, good on them, you know. You know your worth, toot your own horn.
We just talked about how positive we all are, and then we're just sitting here like they're trying to hustle, and we're just like, God damn it, these people come in beeping their horn.
How dare they?
Coffees.
Be better at what you're doing, honestly.
Be better. Sounds like a slogan from someone I know.
Yeah, some positive people, I'm sure.
Trademark, copyright, patent pending.
So I want to talk about, so you stepped into the influencing game, blogging, as we actually call it. You did a big transformation. This is something that you did before a lot of other people did, I think, is that you actively decided to make this a career. You fell into blogging because you saw it as an opportunity, one, that you enjoyed doing, but also that there was money to be made. And you've been very smart in your decisions along the way in order to capitalize on that, both by working with every brand under the sun 1 year, next year being a bit more selective with who you worked with, stepping into YouTube and doing that because you saw potential for that. Talk to us about that journey and how that's been for you, as opposed to, like, I can tell my perspective of having no idea what I'm doing the entire time. Still.
And I love that about you. I want to disagree with one thing you said, actually. Working with every brand under the sun almost seems like, while I've done it, I feel like not disagree. I think I just need to refine. You can work with a lot of different brands, but at the end of the day, what I just mentioned, we just talked about, is authenticity. Like, I've had a couple of mishaps in my past where, for example, I worked with a company who I'm not going to name right now that I used to wear a lot. And they came with me with $5,000, which was this incredible budget. It was like a year and a half, 2 into what I was doing. And I decided to work with them because I literally, like, in my head, I was like, oh, I used to wear this before. Like, I don't love it as much now, but like, also that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I got some backlash, not nearly as bad as I expected, but I just felt what it did to me and I hated it. And I think that, like, it's okay to trip up, but like, learn. So while I've worked with a lot of different brands, it's never anything that I wouldn't actually go out and buy myself. That's like what
Sure.
my motto is for it, right?
I didn't mean that as an insult. That wasn't a backhand.
Oh no, I know. That's why I refined the word disagreement to say refinement of what you just said, because I feel like it needs a little extra shading. Otherwise, it sounds like, oh yeah, just work with whoever comes along.
Yeah.
But you have to be smart about the long term. Like, I have turned down thousands of dollars with brands that I just didn't feel comfortable promoting. And I think that's a big part for anybody that wants to start in this career, in any career, to forego a quick dollar for like the long-term value of your brand. And I think that's something I've always kept in mind, even before I started. So like, I didn't know that it was going to grow to what it grew to, honestly. Like, I knew this was fun. I knew I could actually help people. And I knew I had friends that I've seen make some money with it. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, I want this to be about the product. I want to be product focused, which is already like a good essential, like, to start working with brands, right? But I wanted it to become this brand marketing tool. So it's never, for me, so if you decide to do that since day one, again, authentically, it's allowing you to integrate these partnerships much easier than if you build something that's something entirely different. Like, a lot of models are now going into social media, like they have a massive social media followings now, right? But they have people following that don't follow them for the product. So if you keep the focus on what you want to sell eventually from day one, you are going to garner that audience that is really going to be responsive to the content that later on will be paid, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So yeah, and then the switch to YouTube was really, eventually I felt like I wasn't portraying enough information or knowledge about the things that I was wearing on Instagram. It started feeling like a bit more of a flex, like, oh look, I'm on a private jet because I got lucky and worked with a brand that hired a private jet. Oh look, I'm traveling here. Like, it's so much of it is luck, and like, it was amazing, but there's no need for me to try and lift up my ego, my feeling of self-worth because I did these things, let alone try and put others down. Not that I really wanted to put others down. It's always like from a point of inspiration, but at the same point, there's a fine line between like inspiring others and you know, crushing someone's hope because it seems so far away that they feel like they can never get there. So on YouTube, it feels a lot more about, I'm actually teaching you. I'm actually talking about in detail why I'm wearing what I'm wearing, how I can help you bring out the best in your style, not just like, this is my outfit, copy it, which is what I used to do with GQ Style when I was a teenager. I was like, oh my God, this is like a whole look from Berluti for like $12,000. So I'd go to H&M, Zara and whatnot and try and recreate it as close as possible, but on a budget. But you need a certain know-how. I was like, it never ended up looking quite the same. You need to know the details. You need to know about pattern mixing, color matching, fit is everything. So like, that's the things I'm talking about on YouTube now, which is a lot more fulfilling.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that because last time I saw you, you were talking. You're a really, really intelligent guy, and obviously taking some of the stuff that comes across on Instagram, it's really hard to convey your passion and your desire to teach and all that kind of stuff. And I remember you were struggling with kind of the value you were adding to people's lives with some stuff. Is YouTube the way you're going to continue to do that? Because the YouTube content you put out, as you just said, you seem to really focus on the worth that you're adding to people's lives through that content. Is that the avenue that you're going to keep directing most of your attention to?
Yes, I think so. So there was a lot of things in planning and like ramping up. Then obviously COVID shut a lot of it down. But one of the things we started doing a series was to actually have fans on the show, on the channel, and do makeovers with them, because I get a lot of feedback being like, oh yeah, with your body, your looks, your height, you can pull off anything. And I was like, okay, thanks. But I also know it's not the case. There's so many, for one, there's so many more stylish people than me. I just want to have that said. Like, I think a lot of people put me up on a pedestal. It's like, I'm just doing me, and like, I'm having fun with it. But I feel like it's not about being the best or this or that. It's just about being yourself. So what it helps with, I think, if you work with others, is to show them their best version of themselves. And I think that unlocks things on a psychological level too, to be like, oh, I never thought I could look like that. I never thought I could pull off what he's pulling off. But there you go, I actually can. So I was like, oh, if that's possible, what else is possible? Like, what else am I not believing in myself enough in? And so in that sense, yes, very much looking forward to continuing that on YouTube. It is it's funny because like that's what makes me happy, and at the same time that's the recipe for success, right? The more relatable titles and content I put up, the more people are going to click on it.
Yeah,
which is great for me, because that means I reach more people with the message that I want to reach them with. At the same time, it also makes professional and financial sense for me to be going down that path. But honestly, like, I don't know, I was starting to go into like TV and whatnot. I had pitched TV shows, I was going into acting more, and then a lot of that just went back, and now I'm reevaluating. I'd love to start a second channel that's dedicated more to the psychological well-being, and talking about topics very much like what you do with your podcast, honestly, in a similar way, because I was going to do it by myself, and I was like, a lot of the greatest insights I feel like I discover myself is usually within conversations with others. And it might be things that I already know or think or believe, but they come out through the conversation with others. So I'd love to be talking more about your last episode, staying positive. What impact does a positive attitude have? What does holding a door open for a stranger bring you?
Yeah, well,
bring them?
Let's dive into that a little bit. This year, we'll start with this year, and then we can kind of work our way backwards through your career. What has positivity and gratitude shown you in this year, the most, kind of messed up year of our lives? How has it helped you this year?
I don't know which way it hasn't helped me.
Yeah.
To stay throughout what's happened, throughout draining my bank account because no jobs were coming in, and I was supporting me, myself, rent in two places, an employee, through the psychological struggle of, am I still loving what I'm doing? What am I doing? All of a sudden, nobody was dressing up anymore. Nobody was doing it. I was like, oh, like all of a sudden, everything I'm talking about doesn't really mean anything anymore. People aren't going out. People don't feel the need to express. Everybody wants to stay cozy, wants to stay. But without a positive attitude, without knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which there always is, I very well could have slipped into depression. But I feel like it never hit me that way. I was struggling in the beginning, trying to be like, oh no, I need to be productive. I need to use this time. When am I ever going to have this much free time on my hands? Which was too much pressure. Then I went to nothing for a little bit, doing absolutely nothing. And eventually I found the balance, which I think is important. So like, know when you can take a break, but know when to use the time and opportunity we did have this year, or continue to have, and to some extent, if we're talking about Europe, to learn something, to call your friends, to call your family, to just check in. Like, I think there's a lot of ways that we can spend time wisely that might not be very overt, but just so necessary. And I think it's taught, I think, to wrap this all up and put a little bow on it, I think positivity is the reason why I can say 2020 has the potential to be a huge reset button for humanity in many different ways. And I think it can be a very, very positive experience, even though obviously hundreds of thousands have suffered and thousands have died, which is a tragedy in itself. But I think for those that survived, I think it can be at rock bottom. I don't know if you guys have heard that saying ever. I love it. People will change for two reasons. Either they learn enough to want to change, or they hurt enough to need to change. And I absolutely love that. And I think this year was a very painful year in many ways, but I'm hoping that that pain causes positive change.
With that, we touched on this with the episode with Kev, who is also a friend of all of us, about the pain and the pain and the struggle going on, particularly in the US where you are. Do you think that sentiment is echoed amongst your friends? Is that your personal thing? Do you feel like the people that you're surrounded with are hopeful, or does it still feel very like you're living in a dystopian nightmare currently?
Speaking politically or generally?
Generally. Well, yeah, I think they're tying.
Yeah, actually different responses, I'd argue. So generally, yes, hopeful. I think generally everybody's adapted to whatever this new normal is, this fluid normal of who knows where we're going next week. But yeah, I think, you know, the election results definitely helped ease a lot of things, contested election results. But there's still a lot of work to be done over the next many decades for this country to like get to a proper state of healing, because one person in the seat of the president of the United States might be able to cause a lot of damage, but he needs people to believe what he believes for it to be as painful as it was.
I don't think it's not just the States as well. I think like you'll hit the UK.
Oh no, absolutely not. We've seen it around the world.
Yeah.
The polarization being driven through. I mean, that's a question I'd love to ask both of you guys. Is you operate these gigantic social media channels, and social media cops a bit of a harsh rap for its polarization. And I guess social media doesn't really do as much of the polarization. You can talk about the algorithm and argue either way. People using social media poorly kind of drives more polarization, I guess. How do you guys A, see it much on your channels, this polarization, and B, how do you manage it, you know, putting content into a space that can cause so many, you know, it drives such an emotional response for people. How do you manage that, and do you get a lot of that feedback on your channels?
You want to go?
Yeah. What you touched on there, the algorithm. I think the algorithm actually plays a part into it, because if you're left-leaning or right-leaning, you tend to follow right-leaning or left-leaning pages. There's not that many people that are overly centrist. And so the algorithm shows you things that are similar to what you're interested in. So I would say that people that follow me, I'm not a political channel, but I'm also very open and honest with things. And I think very, very rarely do I get an absurd amount of backlash to anything I do, because I'd say the people that follow me are probably more inclined to be of a similar mind to me.
Sure.
I also try not to be abusive with it. Like, I'll try and open a discussion rather than being like, fuck this guy who likes Trump.
Yes.
I actively, openly don't like Trump. I think he's a trash human. But at the same time, I'm not going to abuse someone for liking him. I just will open a conversation up.
Yep.
We've shared things before where people have like gone on the attack, but at the same time, I'm generally just pretty dismissive of that. Being like, look, I'm not here to have a fight with someone.
Yeah.
I'll open a conversation and try and talk with them, but
I think that's where, like, to your original point, he said social media itself might not really be the reason for the polarization. I think that you can't make that general statement, in the sense that the brevity and like what social media has taught in like the limitation of our attention span is very much, I think, a factor in this entire polarization of extremes, right? Because at the end of the day, what Nathan said, people follow me for fashion. People, I think more so with me than with you, people truly follow me for fashion, not necessarily for me. I think a lot more people follow you for you. I noticed that I have a little bit less of a diehard audience, if you will, which is okay with me. But that actually is the reason I have a fair amount of balance in terms of partisanal, like,
Yeah.
on both sides, right? So I get surprised sometimes when I do post something, because I am open here and there. I'm careful with it, if careful is the right word. I'm just limited with it, with my support and my support of the Democratic Party generally. But I am surprised every time I do get backlash from it. The reason I hold back on talking about it more than I do, which is something I would like to do, is because I can't go into conversations with it. I never shy away, much like you just said, like, just because someone has different beliefs or different ideals than I do, doesn't mean that I can't have a nice conversation with you. It doesn't mean that we can talk about this and actually have a conversation. I think the first and biggest problem in this country is, like, you don't get it before you even started the conversation. Where's that going to get you, right? But on social media, what am I going to do? Have a 10, 15 comment back and forth thread with someone in the comment section with one person that there's no tone, there's no connection, there's nothing that you can where you can connect with someone on an emotional, on a deeper level, other than talking about facts. And I'll be honest, I'm not great with the facts of everything. I feel like I have a good grip on the human side of it all, but I don't know the facts of, like, which president what and what's, like, I can't even vote in this country. I'm not a political person, and I think none of us have ever been as actively participating in politics as we have been this year. In the world, which is funny because it was the US elections, but obviously we know the impact of all of that across the globe.
Calm down, man, honestly.
How about this to lighten the mood? I'm just gonna play my microphone harp.
It's beautiful. You're a musician.
Yeah, no, I won't lie. It's been a challenging year, I think, as a public facing first person, to make decisions on, like, what to talk on, what not. But for me, the bottom line is, like, while I was a very much like a individual conversation type guy, I broadened my horizon a little bit, tried to talk to more, tried to make it wider, and a bit of an activist approach. And noticed that I think for me personally, I want to portray, like we said, positivity. I want to portray, and that's would be in the other channel too, like working with your psychological traumas that you've experienced, and, like, trying to understand why you feel what you feel. Like, that's the conversations I think I would like to have on a broader band than what's happening now, because I think if we work on ourselves and, like, work on purifying our soul, as deep as that might sound, I think a lot of the stuff is not going to be as prominent. So I believe we can heal the big picture by one.
Have you felt any pressure to comment or be present in that space with things, like, to put your opinions out there? Do you have any conflicting, like, oh, I should be talking about this, but I don't want to like negatively affect this, or I've got this campaign coming up, and if I talk about this is going to affect this? Do you have any of those sort of doubts or thoughts?
Not with my work. It's purely personal. Like, I think obviously once we had the BLM movement, like, taking a strong step forward, I was on the road. I was going through the country, and I feel like I missed, like, where I wanted to post. Like, it was on my mind. I was processing it. Like, we were on the road driving. Hilda and I were talking about it a lot, and I felt like I should have posted. And then already came other influencers, friends of ours, that were coming with, like, oh, why'd you build this platform if you're going to be silent now? So then I was conflicted with, okay, because I didn't post right away, now it's almost going to look like I'm just posting because I have to. So it was really weird to, again, try and seem authentic. Like, because I know what I felt, and I know which side I was on, but to communicate that in a way that seems authentic, that it's so hard to post anything that doesn't offend anyone at this point. It just really is. You can have the best of intentions. Someone will pick it apart for the worst interpretation of what you just presented. So that was a struggle for me. So I decided to declare my position, but keep it short and stay out of the conversation, because I was having the conversations offline with people left and right. And I think that's where the real change is happening.
Yeah. Can you add to that?
Personally.
Yeah, no, I mean, we DM'd each other about it. Like, we had conversations, all of us, about it the whole time. And it's really interesting to hear that viewpoint. of the pressure, the societal pressure that came in later, and it did feel like so many people. It's so hard to differentiate between people who posted to create an image of themselves and people who went out and supported. Like, I know of so many people who donated to charities to assist the BLM movement, but who didn't want to post on social media. And in my opinion, that's actually done more for the movement. But those people, like, I have friends who got ridiculed for it. And I hate the way that it's going, in that you have to, I don't know, you have to put this image out, and especially you guys. I don't have a platform, right? But you have to put this image out, otherwise you get judged for it. But nobody's allowed, like I said before, I think you're a really intelligent guy. You're very pragmatic and you're very thoughtful, and that's indicative there that you wanted to take some time to think about your post before you did it. But no one was allowed to take time.
Yeah, it was react.
Yeah.
It was react. You have 12 hours to post this,
or you're jumping on a bandwagon.
Or fuck you, like, and you were either racist if you didn't post, or you're a bandwagon jumper if you posted a day too late.
Or there's the third element, which is, what, you're going to talk about this, but you're not going to talk about the genocide here.
Yeah.
Or
which is literally, you can't do right anymore. You can't. And it's like, I've come to peace with it. We've talked about this before. Haters are on the internet. Like, there's no piece of content, if you're talking about fashion or whatever, like, there's no piece of content that's going to work for everyone. I've made my peace with that. It's fine. Like I said, I believe there's many other people that have better style than me, just from my personal opinion. Others might disagree, right?
No, we agree.
But,
we think.
Yeah, no. No, like, clearly, that's always going to be a thing. So why would I focus on the 10 people that shout, screw you, compared to the thousands that are like, awesome, thanks. So, like, it's so much easier for the brain to focus on the negative. To catch it is, I think, an art in itself. But when it gets so heated and so extreme as it has this year, it's hard not to take anything too hard.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Touch on that. I want to ask about how you have learned how to, one, accept the overwhelming positivity and compliments that you get through the internet, because there can be a lot of, like, really nice compliments and feedback coming in, but how you've learned to focus on that over the negative. Because, as you said, as humans, we're far more likely to focus on the 3 negative comments rather than 300 positive ones. Have you got tips and tricks that you've over time picked up to go, I'm going to just ignore that, or take that feedback, but also focus on this? How do you work on that?
Okay, so first and foremost, I don't have an issue with getting compliments. I'm a Leo, and I love being celebrated. I'm like, yeah, give me more. This is great. It used to be.
We love you.
It's like, you love me? How much do you love me? No, it was in the beginning, sadly, like, very much where I took my validation from. Thankfully, that's changed a lot, and, like, I still appreciate all the love, but it has a different, more subtle effect on me. As for negative, I think it's hard to wrap it up. I'll say one quick bit that does help me more often than not, and then, like, a more general response. If you don't know how a comment's meant, like, if you're like, are you being rude to me? Like, what I do is, like, any line, I try and hear it through one of my friends' voices. So, like, what if Nathan said this to me? What if Lane commented that comment? Would I interpret it entirely differently? Because a lot of fans think they are your friends. Like, they feel close to you. So they'll make jokes with you like they would with their friends. So I've averted a lot of crises because I've stepped into that puddle a couple times where I was like, I would get really mad, and they're like, yo, I was joking. Like, I love your stuff. Like, it's all good. So that's a big one. But generally, I think what helped me react better is working through my emotions. Like, if a comment is upsetting me, in my process, I sit down and ask myself why. Like, which of my insecurities did this hit? Why do I feel like I need to justify myself? Why do I feel like I need to put myself on top of that person? Why do I feel like I have to make him look small now? There's so many things that are, like, deep-rooted emotional, like, scars from a childhood. So at that point, it really is just like, honestly, the answer is, like, how am I dealing with it better? Therapy. And I've been in therapy, like what I've been doing with my mom for over 13 years would be considered therapy. I've been officially in therapy for the past 8 months, not 9, 10 months before COVID shortly. And it's been amazing. I think that's something everybody should do once a week. It should be freaking mandatory, state prescribed. Like you need to go talk to someone about your issues and your feelings, because the more you talk, the more you resolve, the more you feel and allow and let go. All of a sudden someone can tell you, hey, you look like an ugly piece of trash. And you're like, okay, you seem unhappy, and you move on. Versus like, how dare he, you know, like I've always been called ugly. Like, don't you see that I'm just a human? Like once you're able to rise above that, which is not an easy path. So like, it's not like a quick fix by any means, but I think that's the reason why.
Do you agree with that? That everyone should see a therapist?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm probably biased because I have a psychology degree. But I think that
Everyone should see me and I'm great.
yeah.
You sound like me.
I think the thing is, when we have all these crazy things that go on in our head and all these ideas that are kind of half formed, and we oftentimes, especially modern society, we oftentimes cruise past that issue, right? We move on to the next thing and we kind of just bury it and we never really process it. And so when you're forced to operationalize the issue that you have, and you are forced to define it, put a label on it, talk about it, and discuss it with someone else, you actually need to dive into how it makes you feel. And a feeling and an emotion are kind of different things. And so once you can then come to terms with why you feel the way you feel, why things, you know, spark the emotions that they spark, and as Marcel said, the response that they kind of dictate to you, because you're not dictating your own response, you learn that if you've got a whole arsenal of reactions, right? And you've got a whole arsenal of things that you can take on board and say, well, why does talking about that make my heart race? And why does it make me anxious? And why does it make me scared? And operationalizing that to someone, to a well-trained therapist, they're going to give you some tools to change the way you think about things, but they're also going to give you an avenue to tell your story. And so many people who I've discussed and had conversations with, they just need to tell that story, because once it's out, they're like, oh, I'm holding on to this childhood trauma because maybe that guy was a bit of a dick to me. And you can't control that. And personally, I'm critical. No one can say anything as bad about me as I've already said about myself. There's no chance.
Challenge accepted.
Seriously, come at me, because I call myself all sorts of names. But when I realized why I have that inner critic, now I can kind of put baby in the corner. You know what I mean? Like when I want to be critical of myself, I'm just like, no, that guy needs to sit on a chair for a little bit and just let me do my thing.
Yeah.
And my happiness is, you know, really on the up and up. I still have times where I struggle with it, but that came through seeing a therapist. That was the only reason that, like, and I went for something totally different. Like I went for a brain injury and fear of that kind of stuff, and came out with all these different tools. And yeah, like you're only going to get better at acknowledging how you feel and how you tell your story without, you know, causing your world to collapse.
I mean, what you just said, like with the reaction part, you guys have heard like life is 90% reaction, 10% action. Have you heard that phrase before? Yet we focus 90% of our time on how we can act better. Probably more than that, probably 98. How many people, you know, deal with how they react, which is basically what we just talked about. Reaction is emotional. You have no control over your emotions unless you look at your emotions and ask yourself why. So there's a massive disproportion between what life is actually like and what we're focusing on to find that happiness. And I think we need to focus on the 90% of reaction, like the reason why you can tell me something that I get upset. If we focus on that, we'll be significantly happier across the board.
Absolutely, because it allows you to differentiate between the issues you're working with, or the fact that, like, on the most part, I think people are good. Overall, overwhelmingly, I think people are good. Some people are bad, and some people can say mean things. And it sounds so trivial when you say it, but it allows you to separate, you know, Nathan's being a jerk, or Nathan's bringing up an issue that I need to work on. And when you don't know how, they look like the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're very, very different things. And sometimes some people just say shitty things to you, but the more you know about yourself, the more you can move past the shitty thing.
What my mom always used to say was I'd bitch and moan about something that happened, and she's like, Marcel, they're a mirror. They are a mirror to what you need to learn. And that, even just that, that's a simple process, actually. Like if you get upset at a comment, just think of it as like, they can do whatever they want. They're probably unhappy. If they're on the internet, like subscribe to your channel so they can dislike the video as soon as you upload it. Like they have issues. Why would you be mad at them if you can choose to forgive them and feel bad for them? Once you realize that, you know, you have something to work on yourself if they can get to you.
We were talking about that the other day. Someone like being like, we upload an instant dislike. It's like, who the fuck does that?
Yeah, people are dedicated, man.
Where I'm like, yeah, stop that. I'm just like, yeah, people are weird. Like,
yeah. And I mean, either they're sad or really they like Lane said, I believe there is some people that are bad people to some extent, and maybe like they get off, but like if you don't respond, then they can't get off to it either. So
or we genuinely putting out bad content and we need to take a look at ourselves. I've
looked at some stuff, and yes, a few of those thumbs downs were mine. But we'll talk about that in another video.
Dislike.
Yes. I keep you on your toes. I keep you on your toes, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we're sitting here being like, who is this guy? Instantly disliking. Talk about fitness, because we love fitness. Don't know if you know that about us. Oh, damn, girl.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I have my whoop on here now.
I did not know where you're going. I was like, yeah, you've got biking boots on. Great. Cool.
Those are my boots. Buy them. They're on sale.
Yeah, well, I want to get to that in a second. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about, you said you got your whoop on your ankle?
Yeah, I did.
It makes him feel like the days where he was under house arrest. He really misses the tracking bracelet that he had.
I do miss it. I have on the other one, I have the actual house arrest thing also, just for like the double feeling. No, I tried it. I tried it and it works. So I was on the call with Whoop, and they basically couldn't state that it works because it's not been tested. But the person that heard that people have done it and that people seem to not find anything wrong with it, with the data that's coming out. I just checked, like I tried it for the first time today, and my heart rate seems to be perfectly in line with everything that it usually does.
Is it comfortable on your ankle?
Yeah, like I said, if you use the house arrest thing. No, yeah, I forgot that it was there. That's great.
Okay, cool. I don't know if I could do it. I'd find that very uncomfortable. Someone said the other day, like, why don't you wear a bicep strap? I was like, I don't think I could wear that either.
Yeah, you keep yelling at me about it. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's because mine is a third of your size. Maybe that's why it's more comfortable, Nathan.
I don't understand it. I could be constricted there. It's like blood flow restriction consistently. Anyway, fitness. That's what I want to talk about. So that's something that you've always been a very active player. You played football back in Germany. It's a soft G. You're a very active person now. You're in LA. Yeah. Talk to us about that, how fitness has played a part of your life, particularly with fashion, because obviously, like, I was the same. I did the fashion blogging thing and then just moved almost exclusively into fitness. How is that for you? Talk about MDSM Fit, all that stuff.
Cool. Well, first and foremost, I grew up in Germany, so played soccer for a long time. That was like all I really had. I am genetically fairly lean and have been blessed with what I have. Like, I can eat a lot of chocolate, lay around the house, and still have a six-pack and be skinny. Comes with another bag of burdens that most people don't really understand, because the majority of people are like, they struggle with the opposite. But for me, it's been really hard putting on weight. So I started strength training maybe when I was 20, fairly late compared to other people that were like 16, 17 already getting after it. Always had issues, like lifted for like 3 months, injured something, was off for like 3 to 6, had a hard time going back into like the rhythm, lifted a bit again. And like, thankfully my body kind of like every time I got bigger, it would go back again, but not quite as far back as I was before that last like 3-month session. So like I slowly but surely grew like my base, and always loved running, which is, if you are trying to put on weight, it's not a great combo.
Not the best
at all. I already eat an incredible amount of food, generally speaking. So for me, upping my intake was a thing of impossibility, not impossibility, but like it was just too much work for me. So now where I landed, I'm doing circuit workouts that are fairly short, that are high intensity, that are fun, and where I don't hurt myself, apparently. Like, knock on wood, so far it's been going well. Like, I'm having fun with it, and my gains are significantly slower than what I would have hoped for in the past, but I'm completely okay with that, because at this point I'm at a level where I feel like I do it almost more for the psychological benefit, where I'm like, I'm out every morning, I'm working out, I get a sweat on, I get a pump on, and then I feel like the rest of the day just goes a bit easier and I can sleep well at night. But for me, fitness was like very secondary until I think it was 2-3 years on my platform before I ever posted like a shirtless pic, and everybody was like, you were hiding that six pack under there. And I was like, oh.
Hello.
You guys want some more? I got heaps more.
Let me not hide it anymore.
Hello.
Yeah, but now you know, with my boy Steph, we launched MDSM, which is really just a little chronicle of our circuit workouts that he writes in the morning. You know, nice. You know, we start chest try, then we do back bi, then we do legs shoulders, and then 2 full body circuits on Thursday and Friday. Then we rest. Always finish off with some abs. My core is actually like strong now. It always looked good. It was never actually good. just looked the part without doing the thing. Didn't do the things it needed to do. It does now. So that's been really, really, really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like you talked about there the mental side of things that came from it for you more so now, because that's something that we are big on preaching, that it's not just about
you know I'm just trying to keep up with you so that when I can come back to Australia, we can jump around, monkey around, run and play and do
not
things.
Get you injured. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that for a change.
Yeah, for once, right? Like, we have this, then we have like, if anybody's wondering why my mouth is not really moving, because I just got an elbow.
I forgot about the collarbone.
Huh?
I forgot you broke your collarbone.
That wasn't fitness, so that's that's doing a thing that Marcel shouldn't be doing.
Activities.
Rude.
Hey,
Rude.
who broke the collarbone doing it?
Well, I was good before it. Other people have done it.
Rolling up to the gutter.
Yo, I ride a motorcycle, I snowboard, I used to ride bicycles, and I skate. All of those, I think that's 4 out of 5 most likely causes for a clavicle broken. So it had to have happened eventually. 12 pounds of pressure. 12 pounds of pressure breaks the bone. It's like, it's a weak ass bone. Like, it's not a good bone. Like, it's a really pretty bone, but it used to be. Yeah.
We're not designed well, are we?
We're not. The brain's great. The rest of it's just a meat bag full of bones and stuff.
I read looking like you watch these documentaries on just like animals. I'm like, humans suck.
Yeah,
humans are born pathetic.
Yep.
And we continue to be pathetic through most of our lives, aided only by our brain and our technology.
It takes like 26 years for the brain to just be like, okay, now I'm done. Like,
yeah.
like, okay, and I'm good now. And
now it's all downhill.
Yeah, and half the people don't even get there. Like, it's we suck.
Yeah.
We do.
Yours is baby.
Hey, granted, we do have opposing thumbs and conscious thought, but other than that,
honestly, consciousness, I could take it or leave it at this stage. I'm not.
What do they say? Ignorance is bliss. Yeah, I'd be a happy dog, hanging around, eating, walking, licking my.
Hell yeah, my dog lives in the dream.
Your dog does live in the dream, though.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I was watching a thing that was like, it was a baby deer, and it's like born, and then it was like something came to attack it, and it just ran. I was like, human does that. Born, instantly dead if it's not looked after in the first 5 minutes. If someone's not doing anything with it, we die.
If you leave a baby alone, it's over.
Yeah, 100%.
like it's
baby gazelles is like, I'm out, bitch.
You might stumble a little, but that's really just cute.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's 26 years out in 26 seconds.
Yeah. Well, the baby turtles that have to crawl all the way around. Like, basically, it's like crossing the Saharan desert.
Wild.
When you're born.
There's also that there's like 10,000 of them, and of the 10,000, 10 live.
Yeah. It's like,
is it only 10?
It's honestly the percentage of how many survive from each hatch is a very sad thing.
All right, bad example.
I'm looking into it.
All right, let's move on.
I do want to move on. I want to talk more about your career and your success. Talk to me about Marcel Floruss. Talk to us about business, because you're a very business savvy man, as I said at the very beginning. Talk to us about your shoe brand.
Our mutual friend, that include Lane. You know Modi by now, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
We sent photos of
Modi.
Sexy.
Huh?
What?
What?
Modi sent me a photo the other day of his dog, so I sent him a photo of Lane.
Oh, equal. equals. Who's
Well,
cuter? Who's to tell?
to be honest.
I don't. Yeah, Modi Ankari and I launched Ankari Floruss 2016. Damn, 4 years ago now. With the premise, like, we wanted. Modi approached me. He said, "Hey, do you want to do a shoe collection?" I was like, "Sure." Like I said, like I'm a big shoe person. So was he. Like, I always had more shoes than any of the girls in my school. Like,
Also, more girls than any of the shoes in his school.
also that, yes. And he said, "Why don't we make it a company with the premise 7 pairs of shoes for 7 days of the week?" And I was like, "Ooh, that sounds really marketable." But much more importantly, it rang a bell with me that I felt I'd thought about previously. Is like, I walk into a store. Let's take Aldo, for example. That was one of my favorites back then and still is like a great destination for me. You'd walk in and there's like 4 or 5 amazing shoes, and then like the rest that I could kind of like take or leave. And then you go to the next brand and the same thing. It was like 3, 4 amazing shoes. And I was like, and a bunch of stuff that's like not all that great. So what if you just created a company that created these shoes that have the details nailed down and just didn't even bother with the rest? Because I feel like a lot of the rest is giving the mass market what it already wants. And our idea would have been to have the market trust us in what we do. So if you want a dress shoe, you should go for this Oxford. If you want a Chelsea boot, we have that for you. If you want a hiking boot, we have that for you. If you want a sneaker, we have that for you. But the idea would be that with those 7 days, regardless of what you wanted to do, whether you wanted to go to brunch, to the office, to go outdoors, to go, I don't know, to a sports game, you'd find a pair of shoes at our website. So that's how we started. And then that shifted minimally. Now, like, our focus is to create dope sneakers for the spring in the same manner, and dope boots for the fall, because that really ended up what the essentials are about now. It's gotten a lot more casual. There's not much of a need for dress shoes and boots anymore as there once was. And that's been a really fun journey. We've been doing it for, like I said, 4 years. We're in Nordstrom up until spring, which we were supposed to be back in there, but COVID canceled all of our orders, which was a bummer. But the e-commerce business has been amazing. And like I said, actually, for anybody watching the show, we're having a current sale, 25% off of everything on the entire website. So 25 or 20. Wow, nailed it. It's a good deal. Okay, it's a good deal, and you should go check it out. AF sale 20. It's 20%. I know this. Wow. This is me. This is how little I plug my brand. Like, I don't even know what exactly is going on.
Doesn't listen to this episode.
Yeah, I hope Modi does listen to that.
I'm gonna cut that bit and send it to him.
Oh, Modi will know. Well, like Modi's been running a lot of the day-to-day. I've been more so the big picture stuff throughout COVID, because day-to-day has been very slow and weird. Huh?
Tumultuous?
Tumultuous. I like that.
It's a good word.
Yeah, it's a good word.
It's been a big,
You know words.
a tough year. I've spoken before. You've had a tough year because of COVID. How's that been as a business?
You know what?
You don't have to go into details, but how as
Yeah. You know what? Not nearly as bad as it should have been.
Right.
Outside of the Nordstrom deal, like, our sales have been great. People have been coming back to buy more shoes, like previous customers that just love it, and it's been great. We launched a pool slide, which is also great, like a little around the house slide, like a leather slide that did really well, and we've been blessed in that. Like, our direct to consumer business hasn't really been all that impacted.
Good.
Yeah, that's cool.
When before you touched on it, you said that you had a period where you weren't booking campaigns and stuff because of COVID. Has that lifted now? Are you booking more campaigns? Are you feeling that the world is a bit more receptive to that stuff again?
Yes, absolutely. And more than grateful that it came back. Like, it literally stretched out till just about when I was like, would be great to be working again.
Yeah.
But no, everything's like popping back up. A lot of different brands, a lot of new brands that I haven't worked with that I'm really excited to be working with. Started working with some sustainable brands that I worked for free during COVID, when I started doing some more fashion, environmentally friendly brands. One of the brands now came back. I'm shooting a little campaign for them. So it's been great. Getting through YouTube new types of clients, like currently chatting with Masterclass. They want to do like a little dedicated video, which I think is amazing. That should be I don't even know if I should technically be talking about this, but I think it's about to be locked in anyway. But this is
he's there. It's fine.
fun stuff. It's good stuff. Yeah. So thankfully everything's back to, if not better than normal. Because obviously the one thing that did grow and like continue going was the subscribers on YouTube. We're close to like 800,000 now of people that are just into fashion, and yeah, YouTube's starting to take over as like the money, the bread maker in the family.
Yeah, great.
Family of social media platforms.
The head of the table now.
Yeah.
How do you find, is it something that affects you working towards another algorithm? Does that play into your mind at all? I know personally for me, I get frustrated sometimes, like when creating content, it bugs me that I have to create content, but then I also have to focus on the algorithm in order to get that content to the people that want to see it. People choose to follow me, and I have to play the game of the whatever platform it's on in order to show it to them. Does that bother you at all?
Yes and no. No, in the sense of what Lane and I talked about before, the balance of like what I want to be talking about, what's good for me internally. It has to be what people want to see, kind of like that balance.
Yeah.
But yes, it is bothersome in that, like, I would love to start talking about, like I said, topics that are away from fashion, like a lot more in the psychological realm and spiritual even, of philosophical, and I'll leave it at those three adjectives. But I can't really just start doing that. Like a lot of videos that aren't strictly fashion, because I've put myself into that niche so far. I have a really hard time for the algorithm to push anything that's not fashion. So that's why I'm considering having to do another channel. But I think with YouTube's algorithm, like, it's very SEO based. So it's not as much of a hassle to create another channel than it would be to create another Instagram account and try and grow that right now. I'll say that. So like, I think, yes, it can be a hassle to have to think about the algorithm, but if I could choose between the Facebook algorithm and the Google algorithm, it's Google all the way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Easier to get new eyeballs on it.
Google is, you continuously have old content that can get picked back up, so it can make it go that way, whereas Instagram is one and done type situation.
I think I've told you about this, like, YouTube's America's second largest search engine after Google. So both are owned by Google, which means literally if someone's looking for it, and that's like, it's so much about the title and the thumbnail. Like, you have to be smart about how you package it, but honestly, you can really talk about whatever you like. The struggle comes in on how to package that in a headline with a thumbnail that you can wrap up quickly, that is going to drive the views. But I think in terms of topic, you know, other than what I just said, like the fashion versus everything else, it's a great platform, like, to create evergreen content, not like a photo that literally lasts for 24 hours and then nobody ever sees it again.
Is that something that kind of drives you away from Instagram and Facebook and those sorts of things? The fact that they're making it harder and harder for you to reach the audience, because you do have a fashion audience. You're, as you said, your Instagram, right. You were by far and ahead one of the biggest guys in following to start with and stuff. As the algorithm changed, it makes it a lot harder for people to organically just find your content. Is it right. that makes you more inclined to push towards other platforms like YouTube?
Because you feel not like to push, and it's not me getting away. It's not to push. It's more so like I'm choosing to focus my efforts on YouTube. Like, I could be doing Reels, I could be doing TikTok. I don't really care for it, because it'll take me about 70% of the time to create those videos compared to a YouTube video. And I'd rather put in the extra 30% of work for 300, 400x of the value that you get offered, which is like, oh, look at me, fun transition, ta 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 ta. Yeah. So what? Like, I talk to you guys about like what I want to do with my stuff, and I want to actually teach people and help people, and that's not helping to me. I do believe that I am being a bit too dramatic with that. I do believe that I should be on Reels. I should be embracing it, because that will play into the algorithm and growth. And like, at the end of the day, it's about fostering that community on all platforms, to try and influence as many people as I can to be the best version of themselves, to embrace who they are, to care about the way they dress. But yeah, it's been, in short, yes, I am inching away from it, but I know that I should be inching towards, I should lean in more, I think.
I think that's you being authentic to yourself as well. You're doing what you want to do and sharing that. I don't think that's necessarily it might not be the smartest business move, but for you and your mental health and your enjoyment of everything, if you're doing the thing that you want to do because you feel like you're going to add more value to people, then focus on that. I think that's not necessarily the wrong thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. It has to be your own passion and your own drive and your own focus first. Otherwise, you're not going to have fun doing it.
Yeah, 100%. Dude, I'm so glad we got a chance to have a good, seamless conversation here.
Yes, seamless indeed. Look at us going, except for a few microphone hiccups.
And hey, that's was always going to happen with you, so that's fine.
Nathan kicked the light like 4 times.
I have trouble sitting still. I try to put my feet in this.
You kicked the light?
Yeah.
With your long legs?
Yeah, the light is directly in front of me. I love you guys.
I love you.
Dude, thank you so much as well. Hey, have the best trip.
Thank you, bro. Thank you both for having me on. It's been fun chatting with you on deeper things. I wish we could do this more in person again. You know, as soon as quarantine is over, Hilda and I are going to come down and visit you.
Good luck. Australia's going to be the last place to open.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you in 7 years. Big right.
It'll be so. His moustache is going to be fierce by then.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to rub it.
Oh, yeah, that's so soon.
It's nearly the end of November.
Keep it. I like it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you should keep it. You look great.
My wife will divorce me.
All right. Smart man.
He knows what keeps him going. His aesthetics, and that's it.
Oh.
Okay. Well, that was our computer.
That's the bell.
Yeah, I think it might have been, actually. We might leave it there, but dude, thank you so much. We love you.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Before we go, I will give this. Check out Marcel Floruss on Instagram, One Dap Street on YouTube.
There we go.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. I know you.
All right. All right, friends. Well, enjoy the rest of your beautiful Tuesday, and I'll talk to you both very soon.
Be safe.
See you, mate.
Bye.